Dizziness is a curse. Dizziness to me, okay, dizziness is a disorder that changes your life totally. You have different aspirations and you have to change directions often. I used to love to dance. I don't dance anymore. I think I would tumble if I did. I know another member that's very active who also used to tango very much and he can't do it anymore. We have to find new challenges. We have to find new ways to enjoy ourselves. It's important to keep going in a different way. I think when one door closes, another opens. I think sometimes we have to walk through that door.
I was very incapable. I couldn't even eat my meals, couldn't even go to the washroom. I have to be on stretchers, go to the emergency. Oh, I have my own small business for 10 years, and I have to close it down because I couldn't operate. I couldn't even look after my own daily life.
I was dizzy for 6 months when I got to see an ear specialist who, after having some tests done, said, "Face it, you'll never work again." I was devastated. I couldn't believe that I would have to go through life like this.
I've been dealing with dizziness since I was 29. It's a long time, but it wasn't so terrible because it would hit me about every 5 years or so. About 9 years ago, I had such a terrible siege. I had to give up working. I continued writing because I could do that from home. However, I would type a few sentences and start to cry and crawl to my bed and lie down. Then I would crawl back to my computer and type a few more sentences and be so sick that when the articles were published and I would see them, there was a real sentence. I thought it was a miracle. How did that ever happen?
I was not able to go in to work on my wonderful job that I had as a computer support teacher. I loved it, and so did the kids at the inner city school where I taught. I had to stop because the principal said, could I be responsible to get the children out in an emergency? And I realized I really couldn't. And so that was the end of my job.
Dizziness is a life-altering condition, but it's invisible. If you break your leg or your arm and you wear a cast, people can see it. They know you have a problem. But when you are dizzy, you look fine. But you can't function the way normal people do. And it can be very difficult for others to comprehend.
My name is John Smith. I'm not dizzy, but I'm married to someone who has been dizzy for about 11 years now. And we found that now things are better than they used to be, but for many years it was very difficult, especially for my wife, but also for the rest of the family, because we really didn't understand what dizziness was all about. And it made it very difficult because she looked normal so much of the time, although in her own body she felt like the world was spinning. And we couldn't comprehend this. And so it made us feel that, is she really that sick? Or is she putting this on to get her own way? Something which is not part of her character, but I couldn't help but perhaps feel this way.
Every day I feel dizzy, every minute of it. But sometimes it gets worse, sometimes it gets better. When it gets better, I look normal. And people think I'm normal, and they just treat me as normal. But actually, I was looking at them, focused on them, but I didn't register. I didn't respond to them when they greet me, and they think I'm arrogant. In this, I feel lonely. I feel I have to withdraw from this social life. I feel I'm alone in this world, and nobody understands me.
When the ear specialist told me that I would never work again. I felt completely devastated. I didn't want to think that I was going to be like this the rest of my life. And when I thought about it further, I really felt suicidal because I really didn't want to live like this.
During that year that I was so dizzy, all I wanted to do was to die. I don't even think I was depressed. I think that I was just being logical. It didn't make any sense to keep going and live like that. I just wanted it to be over. I couldn't think very well because I was so dizzy, so I wrote an article about how I was feeling and received about a dozen letters in response to it. And one of the letters that I got was from a woman who had not left her home in 12 years because she was too dizzy to go out. I have never forgotten that letter. And so I have fought my way out many times after dizziness sieges because I don't want to be locked in my apartment for years.
The loneliness and feeling that alone in the crowd and in being incapable of handling my own life, and make me feel that there's no place I can turn to, and that the world doesn't belong to me. I'm outsider. So I don't want to stay in this world. So I want to die. But I know I cannot kill myself. So every day I pray to God, please take away my life. And maybe some accident happened to me, I do welcome it.
I was referred to a specialist, Dr. Graham Bryce, and after writing an article about how dizzy I was feeling, I had received a lot of letters from people who were dizzy too. And so I asked him, is there a support group? I wanted to write them and help them. And he said, no. Why don't you start one? And I said, huh? I was so sick I couldn't even think about it. However, he didn't let up. And he encouraged me, and finally we did. With his help, I must say, we did begin this organization, and it has been a wonderful experience.
I feel I'm having a burden to my family, so I feel there must be something, some way that may be able to help me. So I say, the medical field cannot help me, so how about I just look? So I look through the website and see the little logo bad. So I call, and then they answer my call. And there's one nice lady talked to me for 2 hours, and I cried because this is the first time for the past 15 years I finally find someone able to understand how I feel without me explaining to her.
I was very glad to attend a meeting with 35 other people who were experiencing dizziness. I realized I wasn't alone. Other people had this spinning sensation and had difficulty walking as I did.
When we got together as a group, the energy was thrilling. It was just thrilling. Things began to happen around me. It was marvelous to watch. Suddenly we were a real society. We were registered with the province. The next thing I knew, we are a charitable organization. You can send us money. We're looking for $1 million. If you have it, I'd like to establish a chair for the study of these disorders. That would be nice at our local university. And I believe that we energize each other. And the most important thing to me is the courage that I see around me in our other members.
When I first did the field exercise with Pauline Martin, and I feel I couldn't do it because there's one or two moment and movement made me feel horrible, like even so dizzy I never experienced before. I said, it's going to make me worse. So what's the point of doing it?
Oh, she always pushed us to the point of where we were feeling dizzy and encouraged us that that's where we had to work. Whatever made us dizzy, that's what we were to do, so that we would soon learn to cope with that. And it's really helped me.
Pauline Martin would, every time I would complain to Pauline that some movement made me dizzy, perhaps a movement in my regular exercise class, she would say, "Oh, then you have to do it. I want you to do it at home, and I want you to do it in your living room and do it in your bedroom." And I sometimes thought she must lie awake at night figuring out how she can torture me. But I learned to trust her because with time I found that the more often I did the movement, the better I could cope with it. And then there are movements that I can do now that don't make me dizzy at all. It's marvelous.
I have not had to use a cane now for 3 years. And if I'd only known that back in 1998, I wouldn't have been suicidal. It's wonderful to, although I'm still dizzy, I'm able to cope, and life is definitely worth living again.
After doing those exercises, there are certain movements I can do now, like putting my head up and looking on the ceiling without feeling any dizziness now. And now I can cope with my life, I can do more things, and I can socialize. Although I'm still not very alert and responsive, but it doesn't matter anymore because I have more confidence in myself.